Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Ian Carlos Crawford.
And I'm Kiersten White.
Hi.
Hi. We are joined today by hosts of Morbid and Rewatcher,
Alaina Urquhart and Kelley. Woo!
Hi. Both of you here. This is so nice. I feel like we've been trying to do a team up for a little bit now, and
yes,
it's nice to hear both your voices.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so stoked to be here.
Yes.
We're very excited about this.
So yes, we are here today to talk Buffy Season 3's Band Candy for the episode's 25th anniversary. And I was very excited. Both of you were into, all three of you actually. Kiersten, I emailed all my co-hosts to be like, who wants to do what for Season 3? And Kiersten named this episode as like the episode she wanted to come on for. Yeah. And the two of you said that this was an episode you did love, right?
Oh, yes. So much. This episode is so fun.
Yeah.
So give me like your thoughts. I guess, Ashley, it'll be a little different because you had like more recently watched it, but thoughts like what you felt watching it the first time and how you feel now watching it.
Okay, honestly, the first time I loved it, but now watching it through the lens of knowing what happened between Joyce and Giles, I love it even more.
Yes, correct, right? I feel like this episode is like good on its own, but then going like once you know more of what happens, it gets better.
It really does. Watching it a second time was so much more fun than the first time, and even that was so much fun. But just knowing that connection between the two of them, it makes you laugh even harder.
Yes. Like at one point, Ash was like, "Oh, post-coitus."
Like, oh,
look at that glow!
Look at that glow.
Kiersten, how did you feel rewatching it this time?
Well, the first thing that I did was look up the ages of Anthony Head and Kristen Sutherland just to make sure I'm still younger than them in this episode. I will no longer be able to watch this episode in 3 years. But for now, I can still enjoy it. I agree with Ash. Like, I think it's one of those episodes that works so well on its own because it's really very much a problem of the week at its best, group dynamic, but then it also functions so well in seeding those stories that are going to become bigger and bigger throughout the rest of the season. Yeah. And then, some fun reveals later on that harken back to this and add a layer of, oh, that's what was happening. So yeah, I just, it stands out to me as one of the most fun episodes of Buffy.
Yeah.
I think the actors must have had so much fun doing it. And then also just such a good example of when the show is at its best with the group dynamics. Mm-hmm. I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I as I was rewatching it, I was like, wow, this episode it's so wild to be like, it does set up for good jokes later that are revealed, but like it still works. We still get that end beat of them like blankly looking at each other, and you get it. You understand what it is. But it's like made funnier later. But yeah, so this episode has a lot of good moments that like could be put other places. I forgot this starts with them just studying for the SATs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's such a cute scene. I love that they're doing it in the cemetery. And I love that Buffy's wearing practical, comfortable clothes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And like surrogate father Giles is my favorite Giles. And just everything about this scene worked for me.
Yes. Kiersten, I was curious because I was like, I bet Kiersten, because Giles is so Giles in it. Mm-hmm. And like her being like, we haven't had B, I'll do B. And he's like, this is SATs, not connecting the dots. Like,
I love that.
Yes.
And I even love her face when she's like, well, I broke my pencil. We'll have to do this again sometime. And he's like, see, all systems tend towards chaos. And he's handing her a pencil. And she just annoyedly throws the broken one.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I always think Sarah Michelle Gellar is like, and Kiersten's heard me say this a zillion times, but her like face acting where she like doesn't have any lines, but is so good at conveying exactly what she's like Buffy's feeling because her face is so expressive.
Oh yeah. She's brilliant that way. Like when she is upset or sad, she does this one face that is so expressive. It's like her whole face like goes, I don't even know how to explain it. You know what I mean? Like
I know exactly what you're saying.
She even does it in Cruel Intentions. Actually, yes. It's like a very Sarah Michelle Gellar face that she does.
And I think that's why she does well in horror too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Because like, her scene in Scream is what, like, I think 7 minutes, but it's so memorable. And she's so good at like, this is a character we don't know at all who's going to die in 7 minutes, but like we feel for her and we're like, oh shit, I want her to get away. Like,
Rolling out for Cece.
I know.
Yeah.
Cece Cooper.
So we get Buffy says that them and the undead are the only ones working at this time, and we cut to the mayor, which I also was forgetting, like, okay, at this point, we don't know, like, if you're watching it for the first time, you don't know, like, how, like, the mayor hired Mr. Trick, but you don't know what his deal is, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of like the, like, nice reveal of, like, he opens his cabinet, and it's a bunch of, like, spell and demonic shit, right?
I love that so much. And it's so casual.
Yes.
Yeah, the mayor is my favorite villain. I love like his malevolence of like bureaucracy, right? Like he is the most banal evil there is, and just like his folksy charm, but then it can just turn to menace on like just like that, right? He goes from like, haha, I'm the mayor to like, also I'll kill you.
Oh, yeah, brilliant with that.
Yes, I think he's so fun opposite Trick. I feel like they're a really good combination in this episode.
Yeah.
They are. They're like such a dynamic duo, and it makes me so sad that we didn't get more of Trick.
I love Mr. Trick.
That I don't know if this is true, but I did hear that actor tried out for Spike, actually.
I heard that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
He would have been a good Spike.
He would've.
I love Spike. Don't come after me, internet.
Everyone knows how I feel about Spike, so
You're like, don't come after me, Alaina.
But the actor also would have been a good Spike. And like, I love when they do a vampire that's a little bit outside the norm, right?
Yes.
Like he's a business vampire, right? He's wheeling and dealing.
Yeah.
He loves to be a big player. He's ambitious, and he's funny, and he's charming, and he's weird. And so yeah, I'm all for Mr. Trick. So,
And he's also like more modern.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Which I like is like he's kind of updated for like I'm like, what year is it in this? Is it 1999 or 98? Yeah. And I feel like this is when they started, he does Slayerfest 98. And like that was more of a modern thing than we had seen vampires doing at this point. And like, we had Spike in season 2 when he's like using the video camera, and that feels incredibly dated now, but back then that was more of like a more modern way of like stalking a Slayer. So we learned that Trick has subcontracted someone.
Which I love. Subcontracting evil plots. Like,
Best. He's an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Kiersten, that also feels like something that would be in one of your books.
Yeah. I'm all about let's show how evil actually works. Let's show how hard it would be to figure out the logistics of these plots, right? Yeah. It's a lot of work being evil and setting up, these apocalyptic scenarios. They're putting in the time, and I respect it. And I'm glad that we're seeing just how much thought and effort they put into all of this.
Yeah. Yeah. So post credits, I'm curious everyone's thoughts on this version of the Scoobies, because Ash, you have already seen how like quickly this version like kind of has all the drama where it breaks up and then they're like kind of friends again.
Right.
I really love this version of the Scoobies, and I almost wish we hadn't gotten all the like drama we get in like the next 2 episodes of like Willow and Xander, like they're like cheating. That plot doesn't really land for me, but I do like Buffy and this like Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is my favorite. The fact that like in a couple episodes we get the whole explosion of everything. Yeah. I just feel like they didn't need to do that.
I hate that plot.
That's something Willow I don't think would really ever do, and it makes sense, but it doesn't. It's just hard to swallow.
I feel like it took away a lot of like the Xander Cordelia relationship was fun, and I liked it. Made sense, and it was like I was there for the ride for that. And then you see like Willow and Oz, and you're like, you just kind of took away from that. Yeah. And I love them. So I was like, this just didn't need to happen.
Kiersten?
Yeah. I even have in my notes right here that exact same thing. This is my favorite group dynamic. Yeah. And I mean, not to take anything away from characters that are coming in the future, who I love with my whole heart, but like this core dynamic here was my favorite. And yeah, some of the choices that they made with them are not my favorite.
Yeah.
Also specifically because I love Oz so much. And I think part of why we love Oz so much is because we love Willow And Oz sees Willow, right? He's the first person who sees her. And isn't that the dream of like every nerdy, weird girl in high school, that someone will see you
and whisper, "Who's that girl?"
Yes.
That's what I want. And so we love that about Oz so much. So then for Willow to betray him for stupid Xander, who literally never saw her, I think honestly, I think they were just so desperate to make Xander matter.
Yeah,
I think
he's their self-insert character. So it's like, how can we make Xander matter? What if all of the girls liked him at one point? You're like, guess what? They wouldn't. Anyway, yeah. So I'm getting ahead because this storyline upsets me, but I freaking love Oz. There's a reason why he has a cameo in my Slayer series. He's my favorite, and yeah, this group dynamic is so good. And I feel like it's used really well in this episode.
Yes. Yeah. Because, I mean, even to your point, Buffy says something like, isn't she cute when she's excited? And Oz just, calmly is like,
cute.
She's always cute. And I'm like, say that to me, Seth Green.
The way he loves her.
It's so pure.
It destroys me every time. I'm like, I just love your love.
Yes.
They walk into school. Snyder is there telling them they have to participate in selling of band candy. I'm curious what you both think about Snyder, because I do think he's like one of the best like characters you love to hate.
Yes, that's the perfect summary of who he is.
Yeah. In this episode in particular, he is phenomenal.
Yes.
I think this episode is where I had a turnaround on him, because before I really loved Flutie, right?
Yeah.
I really loved Flutie. So I was very resistant to Snyder. I mean, for obvious reasons. But this episode, I was like, all right, we'll keep him. There's something underneath it all.
So then we cut, they have to participate in the sale, and we cut back to the house. And there's a thing I need to pause. And Kiersten, I want to know what you think as well. So I get it. I get that we're still a little sour about what happened in Becoming. I just am like, every time Joyce is like, you ran away, I'm like, no, you kicked her out.
Yeah.
Why are we gaslighting Buffy here? Because you literally told her she could not come back into the house. So what the fuck was she supposed to do, right?
Thank you.
Exactly. Because I just can't, we went through that on when we covered the episode. We were like, yeah, I just can't, because I have kids. I was like, Joyce, I'm not with you on that. There's not a time I would ever tell my kids they can't come back in this house.
And then continue to hold it against them when they finally did come back.
Throw it back in their face.
Yeah.
We just have to move on from this somehow. This can't come up in every single fight.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you're the adult here.
Yes.
You're supposed to be teaching her coping mechanisms and moving forward from something. And it's like, you made a mistake. We dealt with it. Let's move on. That's how it should be. Let's move on. I'm not going to, I feel like it's this is just bad parenting, Joyce.
Yeah.
Bad choice.
Kiersten?
I agree. There is that element of gaslighting, right? Because Joyce drew a line and Buffy crossed it. And so, Buffy respected what Joyce said. She literally was obeying her mother. I definitely have issues with Joyce's parenting. That being said, I have never parented a teenage Slayer.
Right.
I also have never done that. So
I to manage. But I did think it was cute that Joyce and Giles are double teaming her on we are going to supervise you all the time.
Yeah.
So you don't leave because we care about you. But also, it's an interesting scene too, because there's a lot of tension between them, because there's this sense that they are trying to move forward, right? They are trying to connect. Joyce is trying to be supportive of the fact that she's a Slayer and show that she's accepting of it. And she's there for Buffy and she's going to support her. But at the same time, she still doesn't like it. And you've got her buying 20 bars, them eating dinner together. It's an interesting tension, I feel like. And I feel like they're doing the tension well, because they're both hurt and they both messed up, Joyce more so than Buffy. But yeah, I like this. I like the scenes between them early in this episode. I think they're really well done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Because even though I'm like, excuse me, Joyce, I think it's well written, right?
Yeah.
And we get the Buffy says actually, a great mother would let me drive. And we learn that Joyce like isn't letting her drive, which is also weird.
Oh, as a mother of a teenager, no, I don't think that's weird. If I had a teenager who was as bad a driver as Buffy, I would be like, absolutely not. You can wait a couple
That's
years.
true. She is a really bad driver.
Yeah,
That's
she's
true.
right.
That's true.
Yeah. That's like one of the only ways Joyce can physically protect her child. Right?
Buffy, Giles is testing her reflexes. She does the Buffy thing where he steps away from her and he's like, she's not going to get it. She bounces the ball off the wall, smacks him right in the noggin.
I loved that.
He has like the best like British reaction. He does that like that whole like gee whiz reaction of like, oh yes, well, very good. Like I love when he does that.
And we learn she's meeting Angel, which will lead into the next episode, but they like sprinkle it here where it doesn't feel too like to be continued, but it is important for like moving forward with the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it does lead to like conflict, right? So it was a smart place to put it. Also, we got shirtless Tai Chi Angel,
Yes.
which, I have a note in here. Pre-Marvel good physiques, they're so good, right?
Yeah.
Because he's just like, he's a hot guy. But he looks like somebody that would actually be hot in real life.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm into it.
This is
I
my
agree.
favorite scene.
Yeah, Ash is she rewound this like 8 times.
I
She was
mean,
like, I don't know what he's doing.
yeah.
Hold on.
I made
I
everyone
missed
in the
something.
room go quiet. I was like, please stop talking. I'm having a spiritual moment
She
right
was
now.
like, wait, I think something happened, but I missed it. Hold on.
Oh,
Yes.
go back again.
Yeah. Buffy's expression, she was also having a spiritual moment. So
Yeah.
you shared that. But yeah, so they have their moment. Also, can I just say the like abandoned mansion has always been the weirdest set to me. Like, where is this place?
Thank
Who
you.
designed it? What is it? Like, why is everything columns and concrete, but also a fireplace and a courtyard? And it's just, I'm sorry, that set always bugs me.
It's in such good condition that you're like, why hasn't somebody just bought this and restored
Right.
Yeah, like,
it?
no one's checking this
Right.
place. Like no one's seeing the activity happening.
I guess the mayor's busy with other stuff.
Because they
Yeah.
have full on brawls in that place that
Yeah.
are loud and like things breaking and shit. And it's like no one around there. Or is it just in the middle of the woods? Like,
Gotta
where
be.
is it?
Yeah.
And it's like Southern California, so absolutely someone would have bought that mansion on a hill. Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
if it were like where I live in New Jersey, yeah, sure, maybe. And it's like, no one's gone out there in a while, but not in Southern California.
There, it's like no. You just suspend reality for it.
Yeah.
I have to point out that she says, I didn't know you could do that. And it's like,
What does that mean?
I
Girl.
didn't know you could slow motion Tai Chi.
I didn't know you could look that good doing anything is what you meant. I didn't know you could take my breath away like that.
Ash, that is very fair. We cut back to the Summers house, which also the high school seasons, I love them. I love them. I love them. But I do sometimes get like, where in the day are we?
Yes. I get that way all the time.
Because we cut back to the Summers house and Joyce and Giles are like waiting for her there. The subtlety that I really like is while Joyce is yelling at Buffy or like reprimanding her, she hands Giles the candy.
Yep.
It does take a while to get to the main plot in this, but
Yeah.
the candy was always there and they were seeding it. So I don't have that much of a complaint about it. Also, I just think this scene is so funny because it's totally like divorced mom and dad talked to each
Yeah.
other and compared stories, and now you're in trouble. Like,
And when we talked to Christine Sutherland, we were able to have her on for Band Candy. She's like this amazing human being. She's so cool. And she was saying about this scene in particular that because we were like, oh, you guys are so subtle with like the eating of the candy, like leading up to that big reveal. And she was like, oh,
no, we weren't.
I did not think we were subtle at all. She was like, I was thinking the whole time, like, we're just shoving our face with candy right now. Like, what? Why are we so heavy handed with this?
And it was funny watching it back a second time. I was like, I guess it
like,
really
now
wasn't
I'm
as subtle
noticing
as
it,
I
I
thought.
it is pretty heavy-handed.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But it's
like,
gotta
still,
be.
it worked.
Yeah, that's funny because I think it works. It is funny talking to the people that worked on it, like how we view it versus how they
Yeah.
view it. Like I do remember Jane saying something about a scene in season 5 where she was like, yeah, that didn't work, so we cut it. And then I was like, oh no, that scene's in there. And she was like, oh right, it is. She was like, I wanted to cut it because I didn't think it worked.
She's like, I do not stand by that.
Yeah. So we learned that they are now like kind of punishing her. They found out she lied to Willow as well, which we don't ever circle back to.
No.
But, they say she's acting like a child. Buffy says it's because they're treating her like a child. And again, we go back to, Joyce saying, last time I let you make a decision, you split. And I'm like,
it's just not good.
Like I got my spray can out and I'm like spraying her with water. I'm like, nope.
Stop that.
We're not rewriting this history again. Giles tells them not to freak out. Buffy exits. Joyce, crumbling up her candy bar, says Buffy drives her nuts. They sit on the couch, eat more candy. And then who do we cut to as the big bad, Kiersten?
We cut to my boyfriend. Ethan Rain, which again I think this episode does so well, is the callbacks, right? They could have introduced like a new person, whatever, but it was so smart to use him again, especially in an episode where Giles is reverting to his teenage self, right? Like it was just smart. It was smartly done. I'm glad they got Ethan Rain back. Also, I really laughed at the ominous candy bar factory. I worked in a candy factory as a teenager. Trust me, the last thing you want to do is sample. I still have nightmares about suckers and candy canes. But yeah, so yeah, we're in the factory. We find out who is working with Trick. It's a great reveal.
Yeah. And Ethan Rain is someone I very much enjoy. He's like, I appreciate that he comes off as like older queen. Maybe him and Giles hooked up a few times. Like,
I love that storyline.
I love that too. He's such a good like big bad.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I really like him. In fact, we were watching this and I was like, wait, he's still around, right? Where we're at least.
Where is he?
I want him back.
Yeah.
So we see Snyder and this other teacher, Miss Barton, talking, and they're just like, well, I'm not doing it. Well, you got to do it. And then she walks in and what does she say? Like something like,
she says, we got to stay here long enough for Snyder to get out of here so that we can all leave.
Right. Yes. And then I love anyone else want to marry Miss Barton? And Cordy saying, get in line. So Buffy is worried about Giles. She goes to make sure, because that's very unlike him, for not to show up. She goes to Giles' house, and who is there with him, Kiersten?
Joyce.
I love why is my mom here?
I love this scene.
Yes. She suddenly has them being super lenient with them, which is kind of me as a professor. And Joyce gives her the keys to her car. And I love Buffy's confusion when she's like, what? I'm sorry, I mean, what?
Yeah.
She then what does she say? It's like, you don't have to tell me twice. Well, you did, but I'm going to go. And she's like,
bye.
And this is like, this is when we're reminded that Buffy is a teen, because realistically, it's like, why are you taking the car? You don't have a driver's license.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But she's like, hell yeah.
But yeah, she's
go.
17 and excited. Her mom is giving her, like, letting her have her own, like, make her own decisions and have her own agency. So she's like, peace, I'm going to get the fuck out of here and drive this car. And I do like that as soon as she leaves, Joyce is like, do you think she noticed? And then we see Giles lighting a cigarette.
I love it. Because immediately you're like, wait.
Yeah.
And Joyce grabs some wine that she had hidden in the couch.
Bottle.
I love that.
They arrive at the Bronze, and I like how absolutely fucking wrecked every adult is. Like,
Incredible.
So good.
they're not just like being silly, but they are like blackout drunk, high, like they're all like
Out of control.
Yeah.
Mikey called it AARP night at the Bronze. Yep.
And again, Kiersten, to your point at the beginning of the episode, I'm like, haha, these people, they're all so much older that, oh my God, I'm their age.
That was my fear. I didn't look up any of their ages because I was like, no, they're older than me. I'm positive.
They will always be older than us.
Always.
But yeah, and I do think they played this really well, that like old people at the Bronze are scarier than vampires, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I felt that way. Sometimes my husband and I will end up in like a really hip bar and I'll be like, oh no,
You don't belong.
we shouldn't be here. Not because people are mean, but just because we're ruining their vibe.
The amount of times me and my husband have said that, we're like, we're bringing down the vibe of this place. We should.
They can just all stay here and be young and hot, and we'll go somewhere else.
We'll support you from elsewhere.
A quieter location.
And then we have the car crash.
And it's crashing into the car with Buffy, Snyder, Oz, and Willow. And while the interspersing of, Joyce and Giles, they look at a store window and she says she loves that jacket. And Giles,
I swoon at this scene.
He's so sexy. Yeah.
Yes.
He says, you fancy it?
Oh,
And then just breaks the window. I was like, oh no, Rupert.
He's like, let's make it happen.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
I get what happened next, Joyce. I get it.
Yeah.
I like my notes are all very horny here because it's like
Honestly, same. So
Yeah, we're in the same boat on that.
yeah.
the cop approaches Giles and it's like an older guy and Giles quickly knocks him out. And Joyce very understandably gets even hornier from that.
He like full on Peaky Blinders. Like he
Yes.
goes into that accent.
Oh,
His
yeah.
accent gets more. Oh,
Yes, no, I had the same Peaky Blinders thought with the cigarette smoking because I'm allergic to cigarette smoke. There's nothing that's more disgusting to me, and yet Tommy Shelby and Rupert Giles, by all means, smoke.
I'm the exact same way. I hate cigarettes. But for some reason, Thomas Shelby is a cigarette. Like he walks around just chain smoking cigarettes.
And you're like, I love it.
And I'm like, I love you so much.
I'm gonna lick my television screen. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's totally okay.
Yeah.
We can get past it together.
So then he grabs her and they make out on the hood of a cop car and we pan away for a joke that will be paid off in earshot.
Oh, yeah. We marked that a good choice, Joyce.
Yeah, we did.
All I could hear was Buffy going, "You had sex with Giles?" Like I just
Twice?
so good. So Buffy leaves with Snyder and I love them pulling up to the chocolate factory or warehouse or whatever.
Oh my god.
Everyone's going crazy.
The chaos in this scene is so good and everyone's like at an A+, like their performance.
I love how she almost walks past her mom and Giles because they're so busy making out she doesn't notice them.
It's funny because she does a quick double take where she like looks like, oh, these people are annoying, they're making out. Oh my god, that is my mother and Giles.
Ew. Horror.
And the way she yells, "Mom, Giles," and like pulls her mother away is very good.
And how but he's like, go away, we're busy, and just like goes to throw her off. I was like, damn.
He's rippering right now.
He's rippering hard.
And also, I love that Joyce doesn't respond to mom because she's not.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Her 16-year-old self. Why would she answer to mom?
Yeah, she's Joyce.
And Buffy saying, "You want to fight me or you want to let me talk to my mother?" And him just like pulling out the cigarette all angry like.
I know, because he looks like he's about to like square up with her.
He does.
I was like, dude.
At least he knows enough to know he actually can't win a fight against her.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I remember that.
Yeah. She finds Ethan Rayne pretty quickly. She punches through the box. And I love everything Giles does here.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I will say the cardboard box maze was pretty stupid.
Yes.
But again, fine. But yeah, the interrogations. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It really is.
Hit him. I'm your watcher. Now knock his teeth down his throat.
It's so good.
And then when he says, "I don't remember," and she hits him, and then Giles grinning behind her.
Yes.
It's like the ultimate, like, oh yeah. Like it's
like straight up Cheshire Cat smile.
It's so good. It's so good.
Has he ever smiled that big in the entire show? I don't
know.
I don't think I've ever seen that smile. And it was worth it.
And we also get Snyder hitting on Joyce, which I love.
Brilliant.
She's so disgusted.
Brilliant.
She just walks away.
It's that eye roll.
The eye roll.
You
heard
could
around
hear
the world.
that eye roll. Like, yeah, it was so good.
And I love that while Buffy's on the phone with them, like Ethan Rayne goes to hit her with the crowbar, but Giles pulls out the gun that he stole from the cop.
Yes, from the coppers.
And then also when they like we need to tie him up and Joyce pulls out the handcuffs.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And then Buffy's line of never tell me.
Yes.
It is so good.
I really, really like. I think this was such a smart. I'm like, I wonder with an episode like this if that was like they had a pool of ideas and they're like, pull it for this episode. But this feels like a perfect moment to make Joyce, like, she's been writing Buffy like way too hard. She's been a little like unfair with her. So it's so good to see Joyce be like, yeah, I fucked on the cop car. Here are some handcuffs. And Buffy's like, oh my God.
It just took all the air out of it. Like, it was like all the tension had been building between them. And this was such a nice, like, just release of it.
And it's such a role reversal, too. So you see that Buffy probably appreciates Joyce a little bit more.
And then Joyce can probably appreciate Buffy a little more.
Joyce literally is remembering what it was like to be a teenager.
Yeah. And I do like Teen Giles being like, wait, I remember this.
Yeah.
I like
that he's still in there. He still knows everything. He just hasn't cared.
Right. Yeah, he just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And so we get him and Snyder are arguing. Buffy sends Snyder home. And I love that she gives that speech, but she's like, we have to do this because we have to save the day, blah, 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 blah. And then she's like, besides which, you guys are wigging me out. Like, she's
just right back to teen.
So annoyed. Yes. The end beat of the sewer scene when Buffy says, like, we gotta go. I have,
Yeah.
And
I have the SATs tomorrow. And Joyce says, blow them off. I'll write you a note.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
I love that.
Screw the SATs.
And the look on Buffy's face where she at first is like, yeah, okay. Oh, no, I can't.
And she's like, no, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the reversal arc, right?
Yeah.
Where Joyce has been coming down on her so hard and Buffy's been chafing and wanting to and acting younger because of it. And then having seen the other side of that, Buffy's like, no, you know what? This is the responsible thing to do. And I need to do it. So.
It's just like, I don't want to look like this. So I'm just going to
go. So then we go back to the school and Snyder is approaching the kids and he tells them that they look, like they need something to do. Cordelia says, busy like a bee, actually. And Snyder says there's vandalism. He wants them to clean up. And Willow says, kiss rocks? Why would anyone want to? Oh, I get it. And I definitely did not get that. Like the first few times I saw this episode when I was like actually a teen, I was like, what?
You're like, what does that mean?
I also don't understand why someone would want to kiss a rock. Like,
no.
So, we're all so young, we didn't get the references, right?
Exactly. Look at us being young.
Oh my God, we're so young.
Too young to understand.
So then we have the end beat of Buffy saying, well, they're lucky she got to them before they did anything. And I love them blankly staring at each other. And Joyce goes, right. And he goes, yes, indeed.
Indeed.
It's like, it's such a perfect, like, ooh, these adults feel very awkward.
Yes. And that's immediately when you're like,
yeah.
Shit.
All right. Well, now that we're at the end, Ash, I'm going to ask you to step away from your headphones for a moment.
All right.
Get out of here.
Gone.
Bye. She's out.
All right, cool. So I've been adding trivia. Kiersten, that's a new thing since the last time you hosted. I do a little bit of trivia for the episode. The song Joyce and Giles listened to is Tales of Brave Ulysses by Cream. I almost said Scream. By Cream, which will also be the song he listens to while drinking after Joyce's funeral in Forever, which I love.
Oh, that made my heart hurt.
Right? I think that's because I think that adds to what we were saying about, like, I don't think it was because he was holding a flame for her, but he respected her, right?
Yeah, like there was that little bond.
Yeah.
Oh.
I love that. And when Xander opens his locker at the end, he has Cordelia's homecoming campaign poster in his locker, which I think is a cute detail.
Oh, I like that.
Snyder tells Willow, call me Snyder, just the last name like Barbarino, and I had no idea what that reference was to. It's apparently Welcome Back, Kotter. There's a character.
Oh, is it Vinny?
Name. I have no idea.
Is his first name, I think? I might be making that up completely. Is that a fever dream? I don't know.
And so this leads us to our segment, which is the main reason Ash had to step away, of what would Dawn be doing in this episode? Kiersten, do you want to go first?
I think we know exactly what Dawn would be doing because Joyce is Dawn. As a teenager.
Yes.
That's so true.
Yes.
And she's flirty and she's going after bad boys and she's a klepto.
You're right. I didn't even think about that.
Dawn is Joyce as a teenager.
That's very true.
Yeah. So like I think Dawn would have been really upset that her mom was out stealing and making out with boys because that's what Dawn's plans were for the night. And I think she would have pouted in her room instead.
Alaina?
That's similar to what I think, because I think she would have looked at it at first. We would have seen this little moment of like her being psyched and being like, oh my God, let's hang out. Let's do this. And then she'd immediately get frustrated and angry and end up pouting and stomping away. But I think at first she'd be like, this is awesome. Let's go.
Yeah.
I said at first, I think Dawn would have been like, yeah, I'm staying home from school. I'm taking advantage of this. And I think Dawn would have ended up being with them at the end since Joyce and Buffy were both together. Maybe she would have done research, but I prefer to put her with Joyce and Buffy. She just happens. And like, I think we would have gotten a lot of good, because we don't get these moments a lot in the show, but sometimes we do, of like the sisters together being on the same side and them both being like, ew, stop making out.
Yes.
Like we would have gotten some good.
Nice.
Right? I would have, I liked the few like moments where it's like, this is the sisters against someone else.
Yeah.
So I think we would have gotten a few cute moments like that. If you want to tell Ash to come back in, we are done with spoilers.
All right, she's coming back in.
She's back.
Hi. I've never had to do that before. This is something new for the podcast. I love this.
She was just humming to herself over there. Like,
you know, when you close your ears and you like move your fingers around so that you like, all you hear is like swoosh, 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 swoosh.
I want you both to know I was just going to nix those like spoiler parts, but I thought about the reason I had this idea is because I was on an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast hosted by Jamie Dirac, who comes on our podcast a lot. And her husband is going through the show for the first time. It's her and her husband, or her and her boyfriend. She has him step away to be like, and this is where we talk spoilers with like,
oh, I love that.
When we both kind of talked about the episode in reference to the show as a whole. But what she does is she just has him sign off. So they like do it over Zoom in different parts of where they live. And he just signs off for the episode. And then she continues like with like 10, 15 minutes of us just talking spoilers. And I was like, this is a good idea. So
that is a good idea.
Right?
Yeah, it worked out.
So that was, I needed to tell you to say where I got that idea from. But okay, now that you're back, and Ash, I'll start with you. Favorite scene?
Oh, Angel shirtless doing Tai Chi, hands down, unmatched.
Alaina?
Mine is when Joyce wants that coat and Giles says you fancy it and then just gets destructive. See, personal property.
We both love a strong man.
I get it. Kiersten?
I love Giles just grinning so big behind Buffy as she's threatening and hurting Ethan.
Yes.
I mean, this episode was hard to pick, I think, a favorite scene because it's all so fucking good.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite is outside of the candy factory when it's like Buffy and Snyder and Giles and Joyce and like the imagery of her stomping out the cigarette with her big chunky heel just always stuck with me.
That is so good.
It's so good.
So I think that's my favorite. What was your favorite outfit from the episode, Alaina?
So my favorite outfit has to be, I mean, I'm a Giles purist here, but I love my Giles in tweed, but I also really love the white t-shirt and the boots and the jeans. I was into it. And the flannel tied, I was into it. So that was my pick.
It does look good.
Right? He can rock both.
Ash?
I have to say, when he breaks the window and gets Joyce that jacket, when she puts that jacket on, she told us it was Stevie Nicks inspired. Yeah. So I was sold in that moment.
Yeah. She looks great.
I love knowing that it was Stevie Nicks inspired because that also makes sense. Like once you said it, I'm like, oh, right. Yeah.
It makes so much sense. That's how we felt.
Kiersten?
Same, the jacket.
Yeah. I'm also same. I think of that outfit, even though she, this isn't like actually a Joyce outfit because this is her as a teen. Like that's what I think of as like like when you think of like a character and you picture them in an outfit from the show. That's what I picture.
Yes,
Joyce
me too, actually.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my friends in high school who like was the cool punk girl had a jacket like Joyce wears with like a little bit of like the like feathery fur on the collar, and it was like long and black. And I always equate that to like cool girl in high school. What grade do we give this episode? We probably all have the same grade. Ash?
I gave it a B+ because I just wanted a little bit more of the big bad in the end.
Okay.
I felt like it came and went kind of quickly.
That's fair.
But that's my only qualm.
Alaina?
You know what? I actually was going to give it a B+ before, but talking about it again, I'm like, nah, it's an A.
Kiersten?
A. I love this one. It's so fun.
Yeah, I gotta go A. I mean, I do see your critique, Ash, but
100%, yeah.
I sometimes, I feel like, especially with Buffy, sometimes it's like, yeah, but I just love it so much. Like, all right. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you both for doing this. This is a lot of fun. We got to have you both on again.
Thank you so much.
Oh my God, we would love
do
to.
this anytime. This has been amazing.
Thank you so much for having us.
And Kiersten, it was so nice having you back co-hosting.
I know. I missed your voice.
I know. I missed your voice too. Alaina, Ash, I feel like maybe you two understand this. I have said that, like, Kiersten and, like, one of my other co-hosts, Zach, who I do the horror podcast with, and, like, two other people that have co-hosted a lot. Sometimes, like, if I'm doing something and I know what advice they would give me, I'll hear their voice in my head.
Oh, absolutely.
I identify with that so hard.
Very specifically what they would sound like and what, like, the wording they would be of, like, Ian.
Yes.
Yup.
100%.
Especially because Kiersten, our friendship started without us seeing each other's faces, and it was
That's
just
true.
this
Yeah.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. But tell everyone where they can find Rewatcher and Morbid and the two of you.
So you can find I'm so bad at our socials. Oh my God.
We both are so bad.
We both just looked at each other like, shit, what are they? You can find Morbid anywhere you listen to podcasts. We come out early and ad-free a week before everything else gets released on Wondery. I think what are we on Instagram? We're so bad
You want me to
at
tell you?
finding it.
At _Rewatcher.
There you
Yes,
go.
that's
See?
where the
Ian
Rewatcher
knows.
is. And Morbid on Instagram is at Morbid Podcast.
That's easy.
Kiersten knows I am, like, that's like the one thing I'm good at is, like, keeping track of social, right, Kiersten?
Yes.
I give you so much credit for
We're
that.
like 5 years in and we're like, I have no idea where we are.
Yeah, my other co-host, like, just started a Patreon, and I'm reminding him to promo it at the end of episodes. I'm like, you didn't promo your Patreon, you gotta do that. He's like,
What are you doing? We need you on our side for that.
for a small fee, you can have me.
To just pop in and be like, remember,
These are
Yeah.
your socials.
Now you'll hear the Ian voice in your head being like, don't forget to promo your social.
oh, there you go.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Have you seen Ian's arms? He's getting swole. And even though he technically did all the work as his trainer, I'm going to take all the credit. My name is Westifer, and I'm an online wellness coach, helping people just like you figure out a nutrition, movement, and goal-setting plan that will make you feel better, and as a bonus, look better too. I've helped clients cut their cholesterol in half. I've had clients lose over 100 pounds, and I can help you on your wellness journey too. So hit me up. Follow me on Instagram at @thewestifer to buy 2 sessions and get your first session free. I'll see you in my DM.
This was a blast, and thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being part of the Patreon. And if you're listening to the edited down episode, think of subscribing to the Patreon. And we will see you all later. Bye.